Okay, you're leaving Manhattan. You're on the Long Island Expressway, bound for Queens, and as we've heard, the satanic suburbs. So what do we do for penitence out in the satanic suburbs of Babylon, which is obviously appropriately named in that regard? Well, first of all, we take into consideration the fact that Babylon, as all municipalities on Long Island, is a town, but it's the size of the city. We've got, I think, 20,000 more than Richmond, which you've heard of. You haven't heard of Babylon. We have 1/10 the population of San Antonio, but twice the density. And the fact of the matter is that when the folks in New York talk about New York, it's generally maybe Manhattan, and a little bit of Queens, but a little bit of Brooklyn, I should say, but Queens, Staten Island, the Bronx are sort of lost in the equation. Even a wonderful city like Vancouver, which I visited, has more than its share of suburban sprawl within its boundaries. So the first thing we did was to establish Energy Star standards for new home construction in 2006. And 11 of the 13 towns on Long Island followed suit, so they thought that was a pretty good idea. Then at the end of that year, we came up with the most exacting building standards for commercial and industrial buildings over 4,000 square feet have to be LEED certified. The immediate effect was an 800,000 square foot mall that went up in a part of our town, got a LEED Silver certification, which is the highest rated mall in the entire country. Yes, I know malls are sinful, but they are a fact of life. We did our carbon footprint the next year. Again, you can see we're 13 2/3 tons per capita. I think that's nearly double New York City, or is that just Manhattan we're talking about when we're 7.2 out there? The point being that is pretty much the figure as it was corroborated a few years later on all of Long Island. And so we looked at the breakdown. 38% is in building stock, in residential building stock, 24% is in commercial. Effectively, 2/3 of our carbon footprint is an existing building. As we were doing that evaluation, we were also getting our municipal facilities retrofitted by an energy services company. The energy services company comes in, they change out all your energy infrastructure, and they guarantee you that the savings that you will now realize from your lowered energy bills will cover the capital cost. I work for a guy who gets elected by 65,000 homeowners, and he said, how are we going to do that for our residential housing stock? The first thing we had to figure out is how we were going to finance such an effort. We have a large energy from waste facility in the town of Babylon, and ergo a fairly large reserve. We expanded the common definition of solid waste to include energy waste by dint of its carbon component. And therefore, we were able to get millions to go ahead and finance our project. We had to figure out how we were going to bill it. The local energy company, Long Island Power Authority, was not interested in doing on-bill financing, even though they'd signed on to a white paper. White papers are very easy to sign on to. And so we went back to the trough. We said, how do we bill solid waste? Well, we assign it as a benefit assessment, like we do all municipal services that we provide to private property. And therefore, unbeknownst to us, we sort of started up a residential energy efficiency program that became known by the acronym PACE, Property Assessed Clean Energy. The rest is history, or seemingly so. So what did our Green Homes program actually do? Well, it effectively decided that we do all sorts of other infrastructure like cleaning your snow, fixing your potholes, picking up your garbage, and we're just going to add this as another component of our municipal service. And what we really managed to do was then put together a one-stop retrofit where the homeowner could now get his house retrofitted. He could be staked to the entire amount, an average of $9,000. The average energy savings roughly equals the monthly cost. So in effect, for participating homeowners, it was a cash-neutral proposition. It paid for itself from day one. It was a 12% annualized return on investment. It, in effect, was a market-based solution, and we keep getting our money back in the process. As far as promotion is concerned, we started off with a 55,000 compact fluorescent giveaway to most of the homes in the town of Babylon. We got our new box store, Walmart, to actually foot the bill for the compact fluorescents. Actually, the realtors footed the bill. They provided coupons. We provided announcements of the impending program. And the net result is we got out of 55,000 distributed, 300 people making inquiries about the program. It's not even very good from a direct marketing standpoint. But what it does begin to really establish is that this is a very organic and very slow process. So just because people got this notice doesn't mean suddenly they're picking up their phone because, you know, it says it's a good deal. It is something people have to generally become accommodating themselves to over the course of time. And thereby, I would suggest, comes the explanation of how this whole process goes on, because it's not a Socratic process. It's really a quantum leap, where one day, after you have seen our recycling calendar that tells you about the program, after you've seen our public safety cars tooling around town with Long Island green homes on it, after you've been to the beach and you've seen the kids giving you, free tchotchkes about Long Island Green Homes program, and then you go to Muriel's house one night for some wine and cheese, and she starts talking about things that are going on, and you ask her, what is that Long Island Green Home sign I see in your front lawn? And then she tells you. Then you go talk to your husband, and maybe 3 months later you come across the announcement in your drawer, and you suddenly decide, okay, this might be a good day to do it. And that's generally how these decisions get made. It's not very sequential. It's just an aha moment. And as a result, what I think the average participant has discovered is that there are 3 things that they are generally afforded. First of all, obviously, it's the cost factor. It costs them nothing up front. We've eliminated that barrier. We've eliminated the concern that if they leave before they move, they are on the hook for the entire obligation. It gets assigned to the property, and then the next property owner picks up the balance. But in addition to the fact that this is cash neutral, generally what we've found from our participating homeowners is that it's that cloud effect. It's not the dollars. It's the comfort. They feel better about that room that was always drafty. It's now a comfortable place to sit in. But most importantly, I would suggest, is the convenient aspect of it. I'm out of time, huh? Oh, well. Okay, so very quickly, I'm going to blow through these slides. Again, I would suggest is that people generally don't know what they want until you offer it to them. It's a Steve Jobs line. Henry Ford would tell you that if he'd given people what they wanted, he would have given them faster horses. Finally, you have to realize what the impact hierarchy of efficiency is. And here you can see it under the template of Maslow. You feel better about yourself, you feel better about the world, you feel better about your neighbors. We're going to go to a kind of ratcheted up promotional program by getting participating homeowners to get their neighbors to participate. So if you get a neighbor to participate, you get $250 worth of greenbacks, which you can put towards solar after you've actually had your house done. But unfortunately, this outfit, the FHFA, the Conservators for Fannie and Freddie, stepped in and put the kibosh on PACE programs. I'm sure most of you have heard about that. So we are currently trying to widen the field by pressing a suit against FHFA, in addition to the state of California. But our suit includes a 10th Amendment component, which we believe really expands the field. We leave a lot of arrows on the table, and I'll leave you with this. I think that we've talked a lot about attitude change, behavior change. We talk a lot about how we're kind of getting our clocks cleaned by the guys on the other side of the aisle. So the next thing we might want to consider is our own behavior change, how we change ourselves in terms of the reality that exists out there, the WFing of the public discourse, the choice architecture that was talked about earlier on, Trojan horsing and jiu-jitsu behavior. I mean, sneaking veggies into those Big Macs so that people actually eat better, but you're not really telling them about it. And finally, taking the example that I think Nelson Mandela really wielded so effectively when he took a reviled symbol, the Springbok, reviled by his own people, revered by the people that he wanted to pull in, and as a result, he took that me and he turned it into a we, but he did it exceedingly adroitly. Thank you very much.